I'm Rosalind Leslie. I'm the Chief HP for the Trust, and I'm also Group Manager for Therapies and Ambulatory Care. So as the Group Manager, I am responsible for the strategic and operational oversight of the directorates that I manage. So for the HP groups, the allied health professional groups, that's physiotherapy, occupational therapy, podiatry, speech and language therapy and dietetics. As far as my Chief HP role goes, then I am the figurehead for allied health professionals in the Trust. So it's my responsibility to make sure that AHPs have a voice and that their contribution to the Trust is recognised. So now that I'm in a management role, it involves the professional leadership, strategic oversight and operational day-to-day management of the services that I manage. I'm a physiotherapist by background, and the services that I manage include physiotherapy, occupational therapy, dietetics, speech and language and podiatry. So it's a physiotherapy degree that's required to be a physiotherapist, and that requires 2 A-levels usually. You normally need to have a biological science and or sport or PE. You also need 5 GCSEs usually. You would then normally go to university and do a 3 or 4 year degree course in physiotherapy. Or if you prefer, you could do an apprenticeship route, so you'd be employed by a hospital or a healthcare organisation and do an apprenticeship route that way. To be a physiotherapist, it's really important that you're happy to put your hands on. It's a very hands-on profession. You also need to be a good communicator, a good listener. You need to be able to negotiate with patients and empower patients, and good organisational skills, probably the main characteristics. Once you qualify as a physiotherapist, it's lifelong learning. There are lots of opportunities clinically and leadership. So my career path started in a clinical role as a rotational physiotherapist. As a student, I volunteered as a cardiac rehab exercise supervisor for one of our local cardiac rehab services, and that's how I eventually got into my clinical specialist role as a cardiac rehab physiotherapist. That gave me lots of opportunities, and if we look at the career map that's available for AHPs at the Trust, my career has sort of overlapped all of those pillars in the career map. So I've been clinical. When I was working in cardiac rehab, I had the opportunity to complete my PhD, so I took a research track. I also did some teaching, so the education track, and I was doing a lot of leadership within that role. So eventually I moved into what's called then a superintendent physiotherapy role. So that's like a leadership or management role, and eventually into the role I'm in now as Group Manager and Chief AHP. As I say, it's ongoing learning throughout your career. I think the best part of my job is no 2 days are the same. There's lots of variety, lots of challenges, and I do like a challenge. And normally I'd go home at the end of the day feeling that I've accomplished something. I get to meet lots of great people, not just here at RWT, but also across the region. So I work with some great allied health professionals, nurses, medics, non-clinical staff, healthcare scientists, everybody. It's great to be able to interact with them all. So I'd describe my job as challenging, but in a good way.